Great, thank you so much. So our next question is going to be for Peter. Peter, what other traits of the best-in-class jump out at you from your research?
Well, in the way that cloud and self-service jump out, it's basically other powerful analytical tools that are making a difference for kind of that modern user who wants to be independent and go out and get the data and get it when they need it. So data prep has by far been the hottest tool and the one that we see most prevalent in best-in-class organizations. So this ability to profile and integrate and cleanse and then port data into visualization to get the best analysis possible. But some other best-in-class tools we'll see is certainly, interactive visualization for data discovery, and then also predictive analytics is always a best-in-class technology.
Thank you. And our next question is going to be for Kathleen. Kathleen, what does it take for a line of business user to become proficient in using self-service analytics?
Well, I would say that normally business users know their data and are familiar with spreadsheet analysis and how to use their data in that analysis. And so learning the basics of SRK will come very naturally to them very quickly. Similar to any enterprise-grade software tool, of course, DrivenBI offers online training for our users. I mentioned that before, so they can get hands-on experience with all the capabilities available to them. We also do offer consulting for those that want some more information around the best practices and approach how best to use this type of self-service BI technology. But I would suggest that proficiency in SRK, once you are familiar with your own data and the types of analysis you want to do, is probably after a couple of work sessions. At that point, I would say most SRK users are already creating their own analysis.
All right, great. And our next question is going to be for Peter. Peter, did Aberdeen look at organizations with extremely low levels of self-service?
Yes, we did. So in the course of identifying those organizations with over 60% of users, we did also create a group that were under 20% of users with self-service capabilities. And the results are pretty much what you would expect. They had extremely low, poor decision window performance. Users were very infrequently engaged in tools. Almost none of them were engaged in them multiple times a week. High dissatisfaction with user experience, found them very difficult to use. And then maybe the most disconcerting one was that users with low self-service who are handed all their data really don't trust that data. They don't believe in either the quality or the relevance of the data that they're given.
All right, great, thank you. And our next question is going to be for Kathleen. Kathleen, what are the key, and you may have touched on this earlier, but what are the key capabilities that you should look for in a BI solution?
I think the things that you want to look for in a BI solution, I talked about a couple things that were key ingredients in the ability to have the cloud infrastructure to be able to have that self-service approach in terms of really being business-oriented, business user-oriented, where you're not doing programming and data modeling, but you're really focusing your energies on the analysis itself, so you don't get bogged down with all the other IT infrastructure and things like that are out there, but rather you're looking at your data and doing that analysis. So I'd say the cloud infrastructure, the self-service, business-oriented approach, and then finally, that ability to be able to do just-in-time analysis, be able to really have that flexibility and at the same time not be dependent on IT. And those are really some of the key ingredients to what that business technology or BI technology really needs to deliver to you as a line of business user for you to be successful with it and to be able to grow it within your organization.
All right, thank you so much. And we're just running out of time, so this is going to be our last question, and this is addressed to both Kathleen and to Peter. So what should the strategy be when your IT department is just getting started with supporting a self-service environment?
So I'll answer first.
Okay.
So I've done a lot of research on the relationship between IT and the line of business users, and the organizations that are most successful with self-service have very strong lines of communication and very structured points of collaboration all along the way of implementing a self-service tool. So it's very important that the line of business is communicating their data needs very clearly to IT, and speaking about timely insight, also the cadence of their data needs. So when they need data and what kind of situations they face, that they would quickly need access to certain data sources. And the flip side of that is that IT in this collaborative process really needs to make it clear what the limits of infrastructure are and what kind of security and compliance issues they're up against, and also what their limits are from a resource standpoint, from a personnel standpoint. So when self-service is just getting going, when both sides understand the needs and challenges that they face, that gets it off on the right foot.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Peter, I would totally agree. I think that is, a really important part of how IT and the line of business users are able to collaborate successfully. And, I would say what I have seen in talking with CIOs, IT directors, they have to find that right balance because you don't, as IT, want to look to the business user and say, okay, now you've got this self-service tool, you can just go do it yourself, right? There's a history between the organizations, and there's a culture within the organization. So the reason you use self-service cloud BI tools is to be able to allow each part of the organization to do what they do best, right? And so what you really want to do is make sure that IT is working with the line of business users in a way that allows them the safety and security of IT in terms of making sure that data is secure and that data is accurate, that they're pulling out into their self-service tool, as well as, I think IT needs to champion these types of technologies and help to ramp up their business users. So picking that initial opportunity, this initial set of analysis that needs to be done, and kind of walking, side by side with your line of business user in that process, educates both sides. It educates line of business users understanding what they do and how they're going to do this. It also educates IT into how best to collaborate and work and support their business users.
Great. Thank you so much both to Kathleen and to Peter. And that's all the time we have for today, everyone. We had so many great questions, and if we didn't get a chance to answer your question on this webinar, we'll make sure to definitely follow up and get back to you after the event. All right, thanks to our sponsor, DrivenBI, and again to our presenters, Peter Krensky and Kathleen Douglas, for sharing your research, insights, and recommendations. And thanks to the audience for your participation and feedback. We hope you found the webinar to be beneficial, and we hope you have a great rest of the day.